We are Tailgate Talk. Welcome into the show. I'm Matt Thomas. With me, we've got Trent Williams and Kyle Schumann. Or I'm Trent Williams. With me, we've got Matt Thomas and Kyle Schumann. I can't keep them straight at this point. Obviously, if you watched last week's episode. But this is probably going to be the worst podcast in Tailgate Talk history because as we speak, the Phillies are
That's saying a lot.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot. We've done through Phillies games before. We've done through Eagles games before. This one's probably going to be bad just based on the intensity level we have before the start of the show here. But guys, how are we doing?
Trent, hey, we just got to walk right there.
You're behind. I'm like 20 seconds ahead of you.
That's gonna suck when Trent starts cheering in the middle of it.
If Schwarber hits a home run here, I'll let you know.
So anyway, Penn State football guys, how are you?
I forgot that was even a thing.
Do you guys enjoy your bye week?
It was no, because you guys are over at my house, but anyway.
He didn't enjoy. He loved every second of it.
It was nice to not have to stress at all, but just be able to watch football and enjoy it.
What game did you have to stress this year?
Well, that's a very good point too. But they're coming. But to not have to.
Not this week.
Not this week.
Not this week.
As we will get to in a moment. But is there anything we want to touch on from the week of college football that was? I mean, I think we have to start with Miami, right?
Like that was bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get on Franklin for his in-game coaching, like brain farts. Never that bad.
They've been a lot better too. The last 2 years, like he's been a lot better with that kind of stuff. But can you well actually I don't have to imagine because I sat through Illinois in 2021. I imagine that's pretty much the same kind of feeling as being up with 40 seconds left or a minute left.
However, I don't think it's near as bad as that though. That takes it.
There's losing a game and then just like literally giving. They played Georgia Tech on like a silver platter. Here, we don't want this win. You take it. That was the worst coaching I've seen.
The craziness there is even after the fumble, which that's controversial. They still got to go score. And like the fact that you gave up the fumble, terrible coaching decision. Obviously, how do you let anyone get behind like that open like that? They need to score. Like so, it's twofold. It's like a double bad beat.
Yeah. I mean, people want to get on James Franklin for running up the score and not calling off the dogs. Well, Mario Cristobal got a little taste of that this weekend. But other than that, Texas OU was a hell of a game. Like that was
it's just you can just know that game the same constant. That game every year is just chaos. Every play is just something different. Block punts.
Yeah, and it's the only neutral field game that I think is truly awesome in college football.
Yeah.
It has that college football environment, it has that crazy atmosphere, the state fair, everything that goes with it. It's just an awesome game and it delivered.
Yeah. I mean, people are still gonna be pretty high on Texas, but I think Oklahoma is the real deal this year. Like they look really, really impressive.
So, yeah, I mean Texas is good.
And
Texas is good.
Notre Dame goes down to Louisville. Like
frauds.
They should have three. They should have lost to Duke too. They should have 3 losses.
Yeah, well, now we've got to be the biggest Notre Dame fans in the world because they play USC. They could help us out down the stretch here.
Let's talk about that one. USC. Wow, not pretty.
No. I mean, I wish could have watched it because it was on like Pac-12 network, which I don't think anybody outside of like 12 households on the West Coast gets, but yeah.
It was funny. I was listening to Brandon Walker and he said that USC is the worst team in college football. Like obviously their offense is their offense, but they can't like the 3 of us can run some routes against USC's defense and probably get open.
Yeah, but this week that's the thing. Their offense was not pretty either. It was just ugly.
Yeah.
But hey, survive in advance. I mean, at least from a poll perspective, it didn't kill them.
No, they've got one of the toughest schedules down the stretch here. So they're gonna have a decent time with it. But speaking of schedules, last week. And the last week we've got the Big Ten schedules for, till Coco puts his first kid through college. Feels like from 2024 through 2028. It's like, so let me just walk you through. I get up in the morning on Thursday and I'm looking and I see there's rumblings that like, oh, the Big Ten schedule can come out today. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just get some prep so we can just get it out quick on Basic Blues Nation. 2024, 2025. That's what it'll be. That's what it was last time. Whatever, fine. Then I'm getting like messages like, oh, it's not going to happen today at all. Like there's Big Ten preseason basketball coming out. Like they're not going to whatever. So, okay. Then at noon, see the tweet that, oh, we're going to announce 2024 through 2028 in 20 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Like, what are the odds of the Big Ten screwing something up like that? Well, yeah, now we know. But anyway, Penn State schedule. Sorry, I just thought I'd take you through my Thursday afternoon last week. But Penn State schedule, I don't know what your thoughts are. Like, next year's pretty great. 2028 is pretty great. Everything else,
At least our home schedule.
Yeah, so next year, home games: Illinois, Maryland, Ohio State, UCLA, Washington. A little disappointing because I was pretty amped to see USC come in next year, but we do get them on the road along with Purdue, Minnesota, Wisconsin. So we'll get to see what that defense looks like next year. I'll just kind of go through some of the other headliners. 2025, Oregon comes to town. Go to Ohio State and UCLA. USC comes to town for the first time in 2026. Don't play Michigan at all until on the road in 2026. Then they make the return visit in 27 along with Washington. At Purdue in 27. Oregon and UCLA 2028, like I said, stacked. Ohio State, Oregon, UCLA at home, and USC on the road. So
Yeah, I found it a little weird that, or shouldn't say weird, but funny how a lot of the same people that were complaining about expansion and the addition of the 4 new teams and this whole new landscape are the same people saying that the schedule is boring in the years that it's heavier towards traditional Big Ten teams. And I think that's, you don't have those nice big matchups against these new teams coming in. Those years don't look as good, but those years are heavy with those traditional Big Ten matchups. That's what our schedule would look like in a normal year. Yeah. So it's just one of those things. Obviously, you are switching it up a little with not seeing Ohio State and Michigan on the schedule every single year. But yeah, timing is going to be interesting, right? It's funny because they drop all these games even for next year, but we don't know dates for anything even as soon as next year yet. So I know we were talking about trying to plan ahead for some, what away game we want to go to at West Virginia and then a Big Ten away game. And it's like without dates, it's really hard.
Yeah. Now
I was to go through if assuming there's no date conflict, if I had to pick right now, the teams I haven't been to, I want to go to Purdue in 24, Ohio State 25, Northwestern 26, Oregon 27, because we're going to play Bandon Dunes. That's the goal. First time we play at Oregon, we want to go to the coast and play Bandon Dunes, then go to Eugene, and then 28, Nebraska, and then or maybe USC. I don't know. One of those. I think that'd be my off the cuff, just picking. That's ones I'd go to.
Now let me ask a realistic question: does anybody on walking the face of this earth actually think that 2027, 2028, even 2026, for God's sake, that schedule is going to be what it's actually going to be?
No,
there's no way. So why did they do it? Is my question. They're
hopeful.
Yeah, whatever.
Maybe we hope that Rutgers gets kicked out.
I think they sort of had to do it just because of the number of teams that are in the Big Ten now, to cycle through all the teams and everyone's playing everyone a fair amount of times. You sort of have to schedule out
to prove that that's what would happen. But yeah, and then again, Penn State doesn't get a rival, which you could scoop up one team for us to play every year. Okay, whatever.
I like it better that way.
Yeah. So anyway,
Trey Turner just made an error.
Well, that's too bad for Trey Turner. Other scheduling notes. So we got today, this morning, the official kick time for Ohio State. Shocker, big noon kickoff. I mean, I don't know. We were talking about this a little bit this morning. Like, it's a good thing, I think. Like, as much as we talk about the negatives of having our biggest game of the year at home being a noon kickoff, like, it's that same thing turned around for this game. I feel like,
As a Penn State fan, I like it. As a college football fan, I hate it.
Yeah.
I mean, big noon, it just sucks. It's such a huge matchup. And it's at noon. Like, put yourself on the West Coast. You gotta watch 9 a.m. Like,
I mean, I'd like it.
You gotta watch this huge football matchup while you're eating your breakfast. Like, it's just big noon sucks. I absolutely hate it.
I really hope that with these scheduling changes, like when Oregon, Washington, USC come in, they push those games back because we won't get the West Coast on. But then we realized that USC had a 9 a.m. or USC Colorado had like a 9 a.m. kickoff, whatever time that was. So it leads me not to think that big noon would adjust the game times for that. So I don't know. I still like big noon. It ruins college football.
I don't have a problem with big noon or noon kickoffs in general. I'm just trying to pull up this week's schedule to see sometimes. I'm fine with it. Like, this week is great. Or this week is a bad example. But if you had sorry, I was thinking next week when I was looking at it. But, like, I'm fine with a big game at noon, a big game at 3:30, and then a big game at night. And, like, if we get the noon slot, then, like, that's just the way it is. Like, this past weekend, you had that big Texas OU game at 12. You had Carolina. What the heck is wrong with me? It's a Monday. You had Alabama and A&M at 3:30, and then you had semi big game at Notre Dame. Like, it wasn't the evening slate wasn't that great, but, like, I like that where you're hitting all these big games throughout the day as opposed to just having them log jammed at the end of the day. But I mean, I think it's a positive for us from an environment perspective. So we'll see. I mean, it's a Scarlet game. I mean, the intensity is still going to be intense. Last I looked at early lines, I think Ohio State jumped up to like a 15-point favorite when I was looking at it last week. Like, it was a pretty high jump.
Wow.
Yeah. Let me see.
I believe it.
Let me go see if I can find that quickly, because I know I just wrote about it last week. But it was like 10.5 for the longest time. And then it just jumped up to 15 the last time I looked. So
that's interesting, especially that Ohio State was now looking at Crispus and Crispius. I don't know, in the first half against Maryland.
The crispiest.
Crispius, most crisp, something like that.
Crispus, yeah. The sharpest. How about we go with that?
There you go. Yeah, they weren't looking the best, and then they just ended up covering like they always do.
What about? Well, I'm still trying to pull this up. What about the Manny Diaz quote from last week? Because that happened after we recorded last week. Do you guys have any takes on that?
No, I think it's one of those things where people are digging way too deep, trying to find a hidden message. I don't think there is one. I think it's just sort of along those lines of
I really don't care.
That's not our opponent this week type thing. But I think people just read too far into those things.
Yeah, I think it was the smirk at the end that kind of got it. But I mean, you're doing scouting evaluation. Of course, you're gonna have an opinion on them. That's kind of why you're here. But so
let's be honest. We have a 3 week bye week before going to Ohio State. Like, this is what the schedule's set up to be. So,
well, Vegas Insider 15.5-point favorites. So we'll see how that pans out. But speaking of bye weeks, coming off the bye and now going to face UMass this weekend, Saturday 3:30 homecoming game. Another one where it's kind of like, what do you even say? I mean, UMass is not a very good football team. They're 1-6. Don Brown is their head coach, which is interesting given his experience with Michigan and all that kind of stuff. So, it's going to be an interesting matchup there. But
they're probably top or bottom 5 worst teams in Division One.
Yeah, I mean, there's 133 teams in FBS.
I think so.
And I'm not sure they cracked the top 130 in any category.
No.
They are the bottom
It's like
bottom
them,
of the barrel.
them and UConn are playing at the end of the season for probably like the worst to see who decides who's the worst team in Division One.
Well, I mean, they do crack the top the 130 in a lot of areas. They're actually, but there's only a couple. Well, I'm looking at the stats: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, where they're below 100, but they're like solidly like 70 to 100. Like, so they're not.
Yeah.
Not very,
Well, just looking at like ESPN's football index, I mean, offense is the only one that crack a top 130. Defense, special teams, overall, they're above 130 in all three of those.
They're 28th in explosive offensive play rate. Penn State's 121, so they got us there.
So
got us there.
Right now, according to the FCS coaches poll, Delaware's 8th. UMass is how bad they are. Delaware's probably a better team than UMass. Because a lot of these FCS schools, like South Dakota State, Montana, all of them can probably beat some of these lower level FBS teams. I mean, we see them beat like some of these higher ranked FBS teams.
Yeah,
I'd say Delaware's probably a better opponent than UMass.
We'll find out this week.
Yeah, we'll see. So I mean, this kind of turns into, I think, what do you want to see from Penn State game? So, what do you want to see from Penn State?
Clean, no injuries, just
can we show
get out.
some sign of life running the ball before we go play Ohio State?
Yeah. UMass is 128th in rushing defense. So if we can't do it against UMass, then we ain't gonna do it against.
Yeah. I thought that about Northwestern too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, that was one again where it wasn't good early and then it kind of turned on late. But you think Katron's gonna play? Think Katron Allen's gonna play?
We don't need him. If he's like not 100%, don't play him.
Yeah, I think he will. Just briefly. I mean, get those reps, get that live action. You don't want to be off for 2 weeks. I don't think going into Ohio State. So, I mean, I think he's healthy. I think he's fine to go. I don't think you'll see him play much, but I think you'll see him get some action.
If you get him if he's 100%, if you give him a drive or two, like, but we don't need a risk. Like, if there was something bothering him or whatever, unless it wasn't illness or whatever, like.
I mean, it was pretty clear with him at practice last week that he was wearing like a rib vest. It looked like so that was probably it. I mean, yeah, there are those rumors out there that haven't really been confirmed that there was a bug going around the team last week, and that was part of some of the injury stuff that we saw. But last week Northwestern, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, it's just offense come out, just take over and get Aller, get the starters out in the third quarter, and just stay healthy, get sharp. And we say all that, and it's probably going to be like midway through the fourth quarter or the first quarter, and it's like 7-3. And we're going to be like, what the hell is going on here? So,
yeah,
I don't think so. I hope not. I mean, you never know. Coming out of a bye week, it's our downfall. But this schedule sets up perfect. I mean, not to look ahead, but let's look ahead. It sets up so nicely. We can shake the rust off, come out here, get our mojo back after a 2-week break, and hopefully go into that Ohio State game ready to play.
Should we get into some score predictions here?
Yeah, I was going to say, go ahead. The spread's what, 45, Coco?
I got 42.5 on the Barstool Sportsbook before starting this episode.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 42.5. That's fine. Yeah.
Real quick, before we do that, do you guys see the rain forecast for this weekend?
Yeah.
It's supposed to rain, and it might be like rain, like maybe an inch of rain.
Oh, is it up to an inch now? The last time I looked at it, wasn't that?
I seen during the day 0.75 and evening tonight another 1/4 inch. So that.
What do you think some of these game tickets will be going for? Like $3 a piece?
Probably.
I mean, closer to kickoff, probably. Which, I mean, looking at the prices, of last week or so before the rain was as visible as it was. Tickets were actually going for a decent amount. You get a 3:30 game. A lot of people like to come up to a 3:30 game and spend the day, and a lesser opponent. It's a good tailgating day, good day to bring young kids to, and a good first game. Not when it's going to be pouring down rain.
My uncle was considered coming up and just sing at the tailgate again, Trent. But
Yeah,
what we need to do is bring Granddad up, because Granddad is now the reverse jinx, because it was supposed to rain at Delaware and it didn't. So
UMass is so bad that this should be like, this is a game where the weather's not even a factor. Like typically you'd be like, oh, does the weather play into whose hands? But it's like it doesn't matter. Tornado could come through. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference.
Yeah, we'll see. So anyway, spread 42.5.
Yep.
I don't know. I was thinking about this today. Like, eventually Penn State's streak of covering the spread is going to have to come to an end, right? Like, and you would think this might be the spot, because that number is so big, and coming off a bye, and how James Franklin struggles coming off a bye, like all that kind of stuff. But I've learned one thing this year: you don't bet against James Franklin, the over/under. So I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go 51-6.
I mean, if we're up 35, we're keeping the pressure on. I mean, we'll be calling timeouts in the final 2 minutes to make sure we get that score to cover the spread.
So Matt has the over in Penn State covering. Trent, what did you say? Sorry, I was listening to you.
I didn't.
He was commenting on my comment.
I was commenting.
Yeah, I was commenting, watching Harper hit a nice single. I'm gonna go with Penn State. Wait, what was the over under?
42.
Over under is the spread's 57.5, and the Penn State's fair by 42.5.
I mean, I like the under, and I like us. I like us. I don't think I'm with Matt. I don't know.
You don't bet against James Franklin.
I know I don't want to, but I don't know. We're only going to have a half to cover the spread, since the first half we might be losing 7-0. Whatever. I'll take UMass to cover, just in case we don't. I go home a happy fan for only beating them by 35.
I'm just going off of, there's going to be rust off a bye week. It's always happening. It always happens that we're rusty. So I'm thinking UMass to cover. I'm going to say score-wise 45-10. So the under hits and UMass covers it. But again, 35-point win. We're not going to be
Go. Let's go.
I'm 20 seconds behind, so I know what's happening.
Let's go.
Oh, there we go. All right.
I'm ahead of both of you, because that ball was out of the ballpark before Trent even had a reaction on my TV. So.
Well, because
my Phillies podcast now.
I mean, we have to record this stupid podcast during the Phillies playoff game here.
I wanted to do earlier, but you guys know I gotta work.
Some of us work.
It's Columbus Day. You know what? Maybe you should honor your Italian American heritage and founder of the New World and have it.
Oh man, that's awesome. So. Kyle, let's go to game 3. Let's turn this into a Phillies podcast.
Are you dancing on your own yet?
Yeah. We'll buy the rights to that.
Ohio State, favored by 19.5 at Purdue. Don't know what time that game is. It's on Saturday.
Well, if you don't know, I can't pick without knowing. Without knowing the time, I can't pick.
Is it noon?
It's noon on Peacock. I knew.
There you go.
I like Ohio State.
Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm on Ohio State too. I mean, Purdue, typically that would be a game that they could get, but Jeff Brom ain't there no more. So
yeah, I think
he's too busy beating up on Notre Dame.
Yeah, I know.
I think after Ohio State played off Maryland, I think they're just going to come out angry and be like, "Oh yeah, we're going to be fair by 17 next week against Penn State."
I know. Well, when we were at Matt's, that 19.5 line, it got down to like 3.5. The live bet against Matt. It's like, if I was irresponsible, I'd bet every penny I owned Like it just felt like free money. There was no way Ohio State wasn't going to beat Maryland by 3.5,
Well,
even when they were
Maryland also
down 10-0.
Maryland also shot themselves in the foot a lot. Like they,
And I know,
That's
but
that's what Ohio State does, and that's what Maryland does too. So
it just felt like
it's
free
perfect.
money. Like it was just like, of course I'm taking this live line. There's no way that they're not covering that. Of course they did.
so I know we have the big game of the day, but the other big game of the day, you two feature Big Ten teams. You got Oregon at Washington. That over under is 67.5. I think Washington is fair by, I think it was like 2.5 or 3, I think when I saw. So
Yeah. Pac-12's known for stellar defense, taking the under.
as he smirks there.
I am taking the under though.
Okay. All right, take the under. I'll take the over.
I just think that Michael Penix, he's just going to go for like 500 yards against Oregon because Oregon doesn't have a great defense. I'll go over.
I know it's a lot of points, but I just feel like these games, don't get me wrong, they could easily blow that out of the water. But I feel like a lot of times the money is just the stereotypical, like, oh, it's going to be a shootout, and I think the line gets inflated a little bit.
So we thought about LSU, Missouri last weekend, and it was a shootout. So
Yeah, that over hit by like the start of the fourth quarter.
A lot.
Yeah, no, fair. Yeah, that's why I don't bet over unders with my own. Only when Kyle puts them on the card, they're not on my own card.
So Matt and I kind of already took this with our score predictions, but the little Coco Sportsbook I have is UMass team total over under 9.5. I went over because I think they're gonna get 10. Matt picked the under.
Yeah, under.
So the coach, do they get double digits or not?
Under
for Trent, and I'm gonna take the over.
I'll add one in here too. It was gonna be my last call question, but I got
what
another one.
What did I just take the under on?
How many points
UMass team total over under 9.5.
I had no clue what even it was. I'll just stick with what I said.
Bo Prabula and Trey Potts over under 2.5 touchdowns.
Throwing too, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you just either one of them, any touchdowns.
Well, I'm talking about Trey Potts throwing.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah, that counts. that counts. Yeah. Why not?
I think 2 is a good number. I think 2 is a good number. I'll go under.
Yeah, I'm also gonna go under. That's a good number.
I'll go over. I think they're gonna get ample time to get that bad beat in. So, all right, last call. I appreciate the week that Trent's editing it.
Oh, that wasn't last call.
No. I was gonna make it my last call question, but I have a different.
Sorry.
One, so
not paying close attention.
Yeah.
Well,
I
need to think of one. So
all right. So
I'll go.
Go.
All right. It's going to be raining. It's going to be wet. It's going to be.
Wait. We didn't do our percentages yet.
Well, we didn't play this week, so I figured they'd probably stay the same.
Yeah, nothing changes.
My last call question. All right, so it's going to be wet. It's going to be raining. It's going to be an ugly blowout game. All these factors lead up to a not so great crowd. Two-factor question. What do you think the actual attendance versus the announced attendance in the stadium?
Well,
I'm going announced in the high 90s with actual attendance of like 60.
Yeah, actual attendance is going to be in the 70s probably, with the announced attendance probably like 96,000, like within that 96 to 98,000.
Yeah, announced 95, actual 65. It's going to be so sporadic. Yeah. You see all the students that are going to be there are going to be like on the high part of the student section underneath the overhang.
Yeah. We'll never know the actual count, but I can tell you from some insider knowledge, I've seen actual ticket scans for some of these games, and it'd blow your mind how small some of like a game like this can actually be. Scan tickets, it's not pretty.
Oh, I'm not shocked. I've been there. I've seen it. So,
but announce is all that matters. No one can see with their own eyes. They just See what's announced.
I count in the timeouts. So, and then someone goes to the bathroom. You got to go back. What's done?
Well, you might be able to count by hand this week.
In my toes, but all right. It's also the Generation of Greatness game, so you got the throwback uniforms coming back. Is there any part of that uniform that you would like to see incorporated into the actual uniform?
It ain't broke, don't fix it.
No. Hot take, not shared by many. I don't even like having a game with the throwbacks. Too flashy.
I'd be fine.
Too flashy.
I'd be fine with
our flashy uniforms are not flashy.
Too flashy.
I'd be good with the entire helmet, actually, but if I had to just pick one thing, the face mask, I think the gray face mask is a little pop. So, and plus, it's nothing that we haven't done already at some point. So,
where are we? Oregon.
Fine. Yeah, I am. And I also want the shoes that they wore a couple weeks ago that change colors in the sun. But other than that, so Coco, what do you got?
We're talking about like the running game. We want to see some like resemblance of one this week. Do we get over 200 rushing yards?
Better.
No. I mean, I would hope
the fact that you need to like, you think there for a second.
No, they're going to. It's not. I'm not saying that Nick Singleton and Katron Allen are going to go crazy, but you're going to get garbage time points, and you're going to have Bober Bueller running the ball nonstop. But Trey Potts, like.
I was just gonna say, what's taking me over is Bober Bueller for sure. I mean, he might have 100 himself.
I'm just saying that bare minimum, like we better go over 200 rushing yards against this team.
Yeah, they give up 220 rushing yards a game, so better. So, all right. Anything else? Everyone having a good day today? Yeah.
Having a good day.
Okay, good. I thought I'd check just to make sure. But all right, well then we'll be back next week for the real start of the Penn State football schedule. So until then, like us, follow us, do all that good stuff.
Go Phillies.